What kind of man buys a haunted mansion, a dinosaur skull, and 15 luxury homes, then builds a car collection that could rival royalty? Nicolas Cage, of course. At one point, the Oscar winner owned over 50 cars, including ultra-rare Ferraris and a Lamborghini once owned by the Shah of Iran. His garage was a wild mix of Italian exotics, muscle cars, and million-dollar legends. But when a $6.3 million IRS bill came knocking, the cars had to go. So, what's left? And which gems did he once call his own? Let's dive inside Nicolas Cage's truly eclectic car collection. 1. Lamborghini Diablo VT. With Cage's career in overdrive during the 90s, smash hits like Con Air, The Rock, and Face Off, it was only right that the man grabbed one of the wildest, most devilish supercars of the decade. What better choice than the Diablo, which literally means devil in Spanish? Cage ordered his in a blindingly bright orange, because his favorite movie is A Clockwork Orange. The car was one of only 12 special Alpine editions, fitted with high-end multimedia gear, back when in-car tech meant more than just a cassette player. Even crazier? Only 6 were ever made in that wild orange color, and Cage's was the only one delivered to the US market. Under the hood, a screaming 6.0-liter V12 engine pushing out 550 horsepower, paired with a 6-speed transmission. It could hit 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds and topped out north of 200 miles per hour. Cage bought the Diablo brand new in 2001. But like a lot of things in his life, he didn't hold on to it for long. It popped up at a Barrett-Jackson auction just 4 years later, in 2005. Fast forward to 2022, and the very same car resurfaced on eBay, banged up, bruised, and looking like it had seen better days. If you're amazed by that ride, just wait. There's a lot more Cage-level crazy coming. But before then, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to get more videos like this one. 2. Lamborghini Mura SVJ. The 1971 Lamborghini Mura SVJ isn't just another exotic car. It's a slice of automotive royalty. Just 6 of these fire-breathing monsters were ever built, and Nicolas Cage managed to scoop up one of them. Chassis number 4934, to be exact. But it gets better. This particular Miura originally belonged to none other than the Shah of Iran. The car was delivered to his royal palace in Tehran and stored under armed guard. When the Iranian Revolution hit and the Shah fled the country in 1979, his collection was seized by the new regime. Some cars were repurposed for government use. Others, too flashy, too decadent, they were sold off. By 1997, the Miura landed on the auction block in Geneva. The bidding started modestly, but ended with Cage dropping a jaw-dropping $446,820, nearly double its estimated value. At the time, it was the most anyone had ever paid for a Lamborghini. When Cage bought it, the car had only 1,897 miles on it. By the time he sold it in 2004, it still hadn't cracked 3,000. That's less than most people put on a car in a year. After changing hands, the car was restored by Lamborghini itself, and now wears the plate 71 SVJ. Of all the cars in Cage's garage, this one might be the crown jewel because it's historically significant. 3. Lamborghini 350 GT. Unlike the flashy Lambos we know today, the 350 GT was subtle, classy, and even. It wasn't about wild angles or jet fighter doors. It was a gentleman's grand tourer. But don't let the elegant design fool you. Under the hood was a 3.5-liter V12, pumping out about 270 horsepower. That was enough to hit 60 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds and cruise at a top speed of 158 miles per hour. The styling came from Carrozzeria Touring, while the engineering was courtesy of Giotto Bizzarini, a man Ferruccio poached straight from Ferrari's camp. It was the first real declaration of war in the Lamborghini-Ferrari rivalry that continues to this day. Now, Cage's connection to the 350 GT is a little murkier. Some reports link him to chassis number 0217, which popped up for sale through a Pennsylvania dealership in 2002. The price? Just $90,000. Hard to believe now, considering a similar model sold for over $740,000 at Bonhams in 2022. If Cage really did own that car, he might have let one of the best investment opportunities of his life slip away. But hey, that's kind of been his style. Buy wild, live fast, sell early. Financial troubles hit him in the late 2000s, forcing the sale of dozens of cars, houses, and even a few castles. Number 4. Ferrari Enzo, 2003. Nicolas Cage may have played a family man on screen, but off-screen, the man had a need for speed. After the massive success of films like Gone in 60 Seconds, Cage didn't just window shop Italian exotics. He dove in headfirst. While most would have been thrilled with something like a 550 Maranello, Cage skipped right past that and grabbed himself the crown jewel of early 2000 Ferrari engineering, the Enzo. Just 400 were ever made. It was loaded with Formula One tech, a 6.0-liter V12 engine throwing down 660 horsepower, carbon fiber chassis, a 6-speed semi-auto transmission with paddle shifters, and active aerodynamics that looked like something out of Star Wars. It launched from 0 to 60 in just 3.3 seconds, topping out at a blistering 218 miles per hour. Originally priced at roughly $650,000 back then, it now trades hands at north of $2 million. And that's not even factoring in celebrity ownership. Here's where it gets juicy. Cage, amidst a series of financial woes, fueled by risky real estate ventures and a shopping list that included shrunken pygmy heads, had to sell the Enzo. The sale sparked a rumor that Ferrari banned him from future purchases. But that rumor? Pure Hollywood fiction. Ferrari never blacklisted him, though he did part ways with the car. Ferrari 599 GTB Fiorano, 2007. Cage, being the car guy he clearly was, knew exactly what he was doing when he picked up a 599 with a 6-speed manual gearbox. Fewer than 20 manual 599s made it to US soil. That's rarer than some Ferraris most people have never even heard of. It had a naturally aspirated 6.0-liter V12, cranking out 620 horsepower, making it the most powerful road car Ferrari had built at the time. Now, while the average 599 hovers around $180,000 today, the asking price for Cage's former ride is close to $600,000. Most of that premium isn't from his name, though. It's that beautiful, rare manual gearbox. Of course, some sellers try to stretch the truth, pitching the celebrity connection as the reason for the markup. But real car guys? They know it's all about the gearbox. This car didn't just whisper class, it shouted confidence. Pininfarina's design, Frank Stephenson's vision, carbon fiber and aluminum throughout the interior, plus a $9,500 service at a Ferrari dealer before it hit the auction block. 6. Ferrari 250 GTLWB California Spider, 1959. Only 51 long-wheelbase Californias were ever built. Cage owned the 34th. Finished in deep black with a matching black soft top, this one oozed old-school Hollywood glamour. Originally commissioned by Luigi Innocenti, a close friend of Enzo Ferrari, for his son, it came loaded with special, one-off features. Flush door handles, brushed satin finishes, and covered headlights. Even disc brakes, which were bleeding edge at the time. Cage showed it off at the Quail in 2004, one of the most prestigious concours events in the world. He didn't take home a trophy, but the car made waves. With a chassis number of 1501 GT and registration 378196 ROMA, it's a verified unicorn. Before Cage got his hands on it, the car passed through the likes of racing legend Luigi Chinetti and even Italian car builder Piero Drogo. It later received a full restoration in 2016 and graced the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. Today, this Spider could fetch north of $15 million at auction. Compared to modern Ferraris, the 250 GT California Spider is all about grace, not brute force. Built for touring, not track days, it featured that signature long hood, rear-wheel drive layout, and a soul that only 50s Italian design could give a machine. Number 7. Ferrari 275 GTB4. Cage picked up this metallic marvel in 2007 and held onto it until 2014. When it hit the market again in 2018, it only had about 50,000 miles on the clock. Originally finished in a shimmering silver with a light tan leather interior, the GTB4 was restored to its factory specs after Cage let it go. This car got a full revival. We're talking 6 Weber carburetors feeding that 3.3-liter V12, a 5-speed manual transaxle in the back, and suspension that could soak up the potholes of Rome, the snowy shoulders of Canada, or the canyon roads of California. Its story spans continents. Delivered new in Italy, it made its way through Milan, Montreal, and Ontario before Cage got his hands on it. Along the way, it picked up a few quirks, like a seat height mod, maybe for a tall original owner, and a paint swap to Rosso Corsa red with black leather. That's the look it wore during Cage's ownership. After leaving his garage, it remained in Southern California, where specialists kept it in pristine shape. New exhaust, freshly detailed engine bay, flawless chrome, and those Barani wire wheels still sparkle like they did in the 60s. This car's rare too. Ferrari only made around 330 of them. That combo of rarity, power, and Pininfarina design makes it one of the most desirable vintage Grand Tourers ever. Cage might have sold it, but the legend of his GTB4 still drives on. 8. 1967 Ford Mustang Elellanar. Now, from Italian finesse to raw American muscle. Let's talk about Eleanor. That Eleanor. The custom 1967 Ford Mustang GT 500 from Gone in 60 Seconds. The one that had Nicolas Cage's Memphis Rains sweating bullets during every chase. He didn't just drive it in the movie. He took one home. This is one of the 5 actual cars built for the movie, and only 3 are still around today. Among that elite trio, Cage's Eleanor is reportedly in the best condition of the bunch. Designed by Steve Stanford and made real by Chip Foose, Eleanor isn't your average pony car. It's more like a street-legal beast dressed in gunmetal gray with black racing stripes and a look that could scare off other muscle cars at a glance. Under the hood, a monstrous 5.8-liter Ford Racing Crate engine pushing out 400 horsepower. That's backed by a 4-speed manual transmission, giving Eleanor the growl and grit it showed off in the movie's most adrenaline-pumping scenes. 9. 1989 Porsche 911 Speedster. This one is a black-on-black beauty, rare as they come. Just 823 were ever brought to the US, and Cage owned one from new. It was a factory triple black Speedster. Black paint, black leather, black top. And it only had 150 miles on it when things went sideways. In 2002, while Cage had it transported from LA to Philadelphia, the driver made a pit stop in Arnold, Missouri. Bad move. On Christmas Day, a teenage thief stole it and rolled it into the Lake of the Ozarks. So one of the rarest 911s ever made, previously owned by a movie star, took a swim on Christmas. But this is where the story takes a turn. The car was pulled from the lake, rescued by Jerry Hawken of Osage Beach, Missouri, and lovingly restored. The engine, a 3.2-liter flat-six with Bosch fuel injection, was rebuilt by Porsche expert Greg Udeluch. Now it runs like new, looks flawless, and still sports just 2,900 miles on the odometer. That means it's only been driven about 2,750 miles since its resurrection from the deep. This isn't just a car with a famous owner. It's a legend with scars, the kind of backstory you'd never expect. From showroom fresh, to underwater wreck, and back to Concours ready glory. Oh, and if you're wondering what it sold for after restoration, just $57,200. That's right, one of the most dramatic car stories in celebrity auto history went for the price of a lightly used SUV. If someone held onto it, that thing would be worth a fortune today. Number 10. 1955 Porsche 356 Pre-A Speedster. This model laid the groundwork for what would become the iconic 911. It had a featherlight body, a 1.6-liter flat-4 engine in the back, and it handled corners like a cat on roller skates. Air-cooled, rear engine, rear-wheel drive. A setup that made California canyon carving feel like a European rally stage. Cage's Speedster came dressed in a crisp white paint job, tan leather interior, and a matching tan folding roof. Total beach cruiser vibes, except, it was worth more than most beach houses. Speaking of value, this beauty crossed the auction block at RM Sotheby's back in 2017 for over $255,000. Not bad for a car that started out as a lightweight racer with the bare essentials. Back in the day, you could roll this thing off a trailer, tape over the headlights, slap some numbers on the doors, and hit the track. Unfortunately, the Speedster had to go along with the Malibu mansion. Uncle Sam came knocking, and Cage had some hefty IRS bills to settle. Out went the Speedster. Gone, but definitely not forgotten. 11. 1955 Jaguar DType. Just saying the name sounds like you're whispering secrets from Le Mans. Cage didn't just own a D-Type. He had chassis number XKD546, a documented period-raced customer car. Originally finished in cream with red upholstery, it first went to Guy Jackson in Tennessee, who picked up a couple of wins in it. Then, it passed hands to a Southern gentleman named Cornelius Thompson, who added a few more trophies to its resume. Somewhere along the line, this Le Mans-born machine made its way back across the Atlantic, got restored by marque experts Gary and John Pearson in the early 90s, and then boom, Cage added it to his collection. British racing green paint, black leather, rebuilt 3.8-liter straight-six under the hood with a wide-angle head. It was ready to tear up the track or turn heads at Pebble Beach. But Cage didn't hang on to it for long. Again, the IRS showed up like a bad sequel. The D-Type was sold to cover debts. A true shame, considering this model now fetches upwards of $17 million at auction. 12th. Jaguar XKSS by Lynx Engineering. Cage didn't own one of the original 16 made by Jaguar before a factory fire wiped out the rest. Instead, he had one of the best replicas ever built, a Lynx XKSS. Now, Lynx Engineering isn't your average kit car builder. These guys are Jaguar royalty. They were obsessed with accuracy. Every inch of the car was as close to the original as human hands could get. In fact, Cage's XKSS was modeled after Steve McQueen's personal car, the famous Green Rat. British racing green outside, mid-green leather inside. Under the hood, a 3.8-liter engine with Weber carburetors and dry sump lubrication, which is rare, even among Lynx builds. Most replicas got the 4.2 with wet sumps, but this one stayed period correct and race ready. It had performance that could still make your palms sweat, but it was also easy to live with thanks to a road-friendly clutch and street manners that didn't try to kill you on every corner. After Cage sold it around 2011, the XKSS found its way to New York and eventually back to the UK. It was lightly restored by Thorny Kellum, with a mandate to keep its original patina intact. You don't repaint a masterpiece, you preserve it. It even made its way into the Chris Evans collection before being auctioned again in 2014 at Bonhams for a staggering £384,540, which came out to about $660,000 at the time. That's serious money for a replica, but when you factor in the Lynx craftsmanship, the history, and the Nicolas Cage ownership, suddenly, it makes perfect sense. 13. RollsRoyce Ghost. Picture a twin-turbocharged V12 engine pumping out 563 horsepower, or 592 if you're lucky enough to snag the black badge version. This thing goes from 0 to 60 in just 4.6 seconds. That's a sports car, quick, but it rides like a cloud. Literally, it's fitted with something Rolls-Royce calls the magic carpet ride system. Sounds like marketing fluff? Maybe. But behind the wheel, it actually feels like floating. Cage's Ghost, naturally, has bespoke touches. Think custom paint, hand-stitched leather, wood veneers polished smoother than your granddad's pipe, and even a starlight headliner that turns the ceiling into a miniature night sky. Of course, there's that glowing spirit of ecstasy on the hood. You know he didn't get the standard silver. This is a man who once bought a pet octopus and a haunted mansion. You better believe his Ghost is customized. Now, while Cage isn't known for sharing the exact details of this car, it's safe to assume he didn't skimp. With all-wheel drive, an 8-speed transmission, and even all-wheel steering, the Ghost handles like a car half its size. 14. RollsRoyce Phantom 2 Coupe, 1935. Cage owns a 1935 Hooper-bodied, fixed-head coupe, one of only 19 ever made, and of those, just 2 were bodied by Hooper. You're looking at one of the rarest Rolls-Royces in existence. Cage didn't just own it, he featured it. This car actually made a cameo in his 2010 movie, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which, fun fact, let him write it off as a business expense. Under the hood, this Phantom 2 packs a near-silent 7.7-liter inline-6 engine and a top speed of around 92 miles per hour. This car was built for smoothness, for grace, for pure presence. Back in the 30s, it was the kind of car a king would ride in, or a movie star who thought he was one. In the trunk, there's a Louis Vuitton picnic set from the 1930s, original, untouched. Imagine Cage rolling up in this, popping open the boot, and serving tea from vintage silverware. That's not a car, that's a time machine. It's not just beautiful, it's legendary. This isn't just about taste, it's about history. Cage once owned 9 Rolls-Royce Phantoms, but this Phantom 2 Coupe stands above the rest. At auctions, these things can fetch upwards of $800,000, sometimes more. 15. Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud. 3 convertible. Cage had at least one of these. Some say 2. The confirmed model is a 1964 left-hand drive, coach-built by H.J. Mulliner, and painted in a rich shade of velvet green. Not exactly a color you pick off a dealership lot. Only 25 of these convertibles were built in left-hand drive. Cage's was originally delivered to a German liqueur baron, Dr. Karl Underberg, before crossing the Atlantic and ending up in Cage's California collection. At one point, the car passed through Switzerland, Monaco, and New York, like a well-traveled socialite. This car doesn't scream speed. The V8 under the hood gives you around 117 miles per hour. The black leather interior, paired with that rare exterior color, just oozes 1960s high society. There's another model floating around, a 1963 version, originally white, later painted brown. Rumor has it, Cage owned that one too, but records got a bit murky after 2008. He might have sold it during one of his financial downsizing phases. You know, when the IRS came knocking, and he had to offload a castle or two. Only Nicolas Cage could turn a car collection into a full-blown Hollywood epic. Equal parts wild, extravagant, and unforgettable. If you loved diving into the world of Cage, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and stick around. There's plenty more video where that came from.